So lately, the internet is having beef with broke people, or at least who they perceive are broke people. I'm convinced 90% of the people saying brokey unironically to offend others are usually brokies themselves. Regardless, I've got a love-hate relationship with this term. I think it's pretty funny if used ironically, and actually I still find it funny when used unironically because it's a huge beacon that basically shouts, I'm the actual broke and jealous one who's projecting it onto everyone else. By the way, you're not a bad person for wanting financial freedom or pursuing a successful level of wealth. I personally don't care about becoming the next Elon Musk of the world, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't at least care enough about money to still be responsible in how I earn it, spend it, and understand it. The reason I mention this is because a lot of people who get pitfalled by this brokey ideology are usually doomed to actually be the brokest of all, since they seem to be racing to the bottom by making the rich richer while making themselves even broker, but then calling everyone else broke instead.
This burrito bowl dinner on DoorDash comes to $41, but thanks to Klarna, you can make 4 payments of $10.40 over the course of 6 weeks instead.
Buy now, suffer later. This is the biggest component pushing forward the Brokie epidemic, which is the buy now, pay later trap. The most poverty spec behavior that these anti-brokies cope with is how because they can afford nice things constantly, they must not be the broke ones. Therefore, the real brokies are all of us who don't have the nice things like they do. Newsflash, financing things isn't actually affording it. Why are we still confusing these two? There's this really cool video where it talks about how a lot of people still mix up wealth and debt.
Denali, haha, 2,500. You jealous, ain't you? Whoo-wee, that's a lot of money. We work at the same place. I know about what you make. Yeah, I know we work at the same place. I got more money than you. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You got a lot of debt. See, you know the difference between debt and money. You got a lot of debt, but I don't think you got that much money.
Having a lot of nice things doesn't mean you can't be a brokie. In fact, most brokies try to hide how broke they are with nice things. Why do you think Labubus are a recession indicator? In no universe where we have a healthy economy would people be collecting these. It's just ridiculous, right? We even have people on Twitter constantly bragging about stupid things like, if your car model year isn't as new as mine, I'm not dating you. Or if your car model year isn't newer than insert year, you're a brokie. What's sad is that these are non-car people. Why do they care about what kind of car you have? I mean, in this day and age, most people are even driving 30-year-old cars. The car market is rough. I've already made a few videos covering that topic. And if you enjoyed this video so far, make sure to subscribe, like, all the good stuff. But the thing is, lady, no one cares about your freaking 2025 Hyundai. Who cares about model year? Because in that case, a 1992 McLaren F1 must be broke AF. Oh, wait a second. It's actually worth more than their entire bloodline. Yeah, I went there. Not just her net worth, not just her grandparents or great-grandparents' net worth, or her future kids' net worth. None of them are gonna make that amount of cash in their lifetime, especially with that kind of attitude. I'm so tired of peak consumerism having hijacked a lot of these broke people's brains who constantly buy stuff, and they now think that that makes them rich. Again, these items usually depreciate, so everyone has a plan until the rep nation attacks. The only replicas I hate are replica car wheels because it's dangerous to drive on lower quality wheels that are meant to keep multi-thousand-pound machines on the road, by the way. That is not something you should be cheaping out on parts for. However, anything else that's replicated is just funny to me, and I absolutely support anyone buying it because most of the fashion industry is a sham anyways, and most of them are actually already replicas. I've also made a video on that in the past as well. This isn't even me talking down to China. I love what they're doing. Again, I think this is funny because most things are already made in China anyways, whether it's handbags, jewelry, or sneakers. Rage baiting people of replicas has to be a commendable act of valor these days. Y'all rep boys, you guys keep up the good fight. I am so tired of people literally wasting thousands on these things, all using buy now, pay later just to get a brand label and pretend it makes them high status and they have the right to call everyone else brokies who don't have it. Again, if you just look at how real rich people dress, they usually wear unbranded things or they just wear really cheap clothing. At the end of the day, these aren't a watch from 100 years ago. If it doesn't have actual history, no one's going to care to keep track of whether or not it's a replica or otherwise. Fake it till you make it. Speaking of supercars, the most advanced form of buy now, pay later comes with the existence of supercar specific lenders, also known as exotic car financing. There are 120 to even 144 month financing. That's 12 years, by the way. That's almost a 15-year mortgage at that point. To put this into perspective, someone financing an $80,000 Dodge Challenger Hellcat for 29.99% APR for 72 months is actually buying that car for 160 grand, basically double what the car's price is. I made a whole video talking about this, not gonna re-explain it here, but the point is, like, you can only imagine how much worse this must get for something that is twice the duration of 72 months, 144 months. The interest payments on that must look completely asinine. You probably already know better than I. Literally no actual rich person is doing this. I noticed a lot of the 2025 Brokie epidemic has a lot in common with the fake rich phenomenon a few years back, because during those years there were a lot of people who would just flex these supercars and whatever, and they were actually loaning them. And even so, these supercar loans, as well as these buy now pay later schemes, they actually aim for this middle class fake rich, which are people who obviously aren't in poverty, but they're also not truly wealthy, but they still have enough money to be able to apply for these loans to begin with, and therefore fall for these traps. So Cara Nicole has a cool video series covering the fake rich phenomenon if you need a better explanation, but someone who is actually rich also isn't applying for these loans either, since if they really did want a loan on a supercar, they'd probably just do 3, 5, maybe 6 years at most, or they'll just buy in full. And I know that some finance bro is gonna hit me with the no, it's called keeping your wealth streams open. Why would you sink 200 grand at once? Which is why buying in full is stupid, because I need to open up that cash for other opportunities. Let me do some actual finance speak for these wannabe finance bros. Keeping wealth streams flowing makes sense if you're loaning something at a lower interest rate than the market rate. This is one of those things, you're gonna see this later in the video too, where the phrase they're saying is true, but their understanding of it is completely incorrect. And sorry, this is starting to get dull and not interesting. So for younger Gen Z, jingle, here's me building a V8 engine in Minecraft using redstone. Like, cause I built a lot of cool things in this game. I might start a second channel on it. That's something I might do in the future. Anyways, there's a very low chance that the supercar's loan interest is going to yield more profit than the index fund. So they have to ask themselves, can the content I make with this actually beat the market rate? The answer is oftentimes no, especially when you factor in insurance, wear and tear, depreciation from all the wear and tear, and again, depending on what interest rate they have, because that'll make it worse or better depending on how good they did, depending on their credit score. So, but what I'm talking about is like a lot of these fake rich people who make fun of brokies, they always own entry-level supercars that they then loan for 144 months. And these entry-level supercars, be completely honest with me, for all the car guys out there, are you really interested in seeing the 20,000th guy start a vlogging career on YouTube or Instagram with yet another Lamborghini Huracan? And yes, there are now that many of them made. And yes, every single one of them are vloggers as well. True wealth is usually being at the top of these wait lists and getting not entry-level supercars for one. They're getting very special, high-end hypercars even, that all have their examples already spoken for. And a lot of these entry-level supercar owning finance bros don't even know what that phrase means, which proves that they're the real brokie here. Never ever fall for these fake finance gurus, and anyone outside the car bubble, you guys are probably rolling your eyes for the best reason, because you guys already know this. You know that a lot of supercar flexers online, especially in the post-quarantine world, are grifters. But the amount of car guys who still think it's the 2017 supercar flexing meta and give the cope of bladed, I trust this guy because he's a Lambo and you don't. Your Corvette's broke boy status. Like, all right, go buy their crypto this time for sure, right? That one's gonna go to the moon, The old adage of fools are easily parted with their money still rings true even to this day. But unfortunately, the idea of being anti-saving is yet another component that's pushing forward this Brokie epidemic. Sometimes you gotta spend money to make money. If I had $1 every time I heard this phrase, I'd have more money than everyone who says that phrase combined, which isn't that much since most of them are actually in debt. So I think literally anyone watching already has more money than most of them. If you're 15 years old and haven't even worked a job yet, congratulations, you technically have a higher net worth than most of these people with this logic. And again, like I said earlier this video, this phrase is true. It's not incorrect. The understanding of it is what's incorrect. I don't want to sound like a bitter guy who's jealous of self-made millionaires. I think it's okay for individuals individuals to gain financial independence and run a business they can be proud of. The problem is that a lot of people who say this phrase nowadays have no idea what it actually means. Instead, they just use it as an excuse to needlessly dump tens of thousands in hopes that they'll someday strike it big. Sometimes they just use this to even cover up bad habits. Like, there are people who unironically call others brokies for not being able to DoorDash $30 on mid-as-hell fast food slop. I see this comment way too much on Caleb Hammer's channel. It's a horrible co-op because whenever he makes fun of people for eating out too much, you always have people who are like, well, sorry you guys are brokies who can't afford $30 meals. I'm on a busy schedule. I'm grinding, bro. I can't be wasting time shopping or cooking. Ew. If you were rich and successful, you'd understand that you gotta spend money to make money. I don't know a single real wealthy person, especially not the Koenigsegg or Pagani owners, who would order fast food DoorDash under the guise of it helps me grind, bro. Real rich people get it. No, they have personal chefs instead. Heck, some of them do just learn to cook too, because it's fulfilling. I love cooking, all right? It's not that hard. These grind set bros are the most susceptible to falling for literally any scam, since instead of accepting the true meaning of grind set, which means being in it for the long run, a lot of them actually want get-rich-quick schemes. And to give a better example for a lot of the younger people watching who will understand this one, forget businesses, this also applies to content creation. If you haven't even started a channel or started streaming yet, should you really be buying a $5,000 gaming PC, $2,000 camera, $1,000 XLR microphone? No. But there are unfortunately people who answer, yes, I do, Bladed. I need to spend money to make money. The better my equipment, the more subscribers I'll get. That's exactly how that works. So when you go $8,000 into the hole without any profit or even any viewers or without even a plan or without even starting your channel, what happens when 3 months passes by? You give up. And this isn't me talking down to people. So Healthy Gamer GG has a good video on this topic. I'm gonna summarize it briefly. A lot of people like to move the goalposts, and then they wonder why they're lazy or why they're disappointed that they aren't succeeding as fast as they wanted to, and why they want to give up now. So they call themselves lazy, they call themselves not determined, they have problems with motivation, they give up too easily. Believe it or not as many people are actually as lazy as they think they are, including most of you watching. Things in life get hard because we sometimes are guilty of making them needlessly hard, and this does apply to this exact phrase. The greatest content creators, the most successful authors, investors, and businessmen, all of them have one thing in common. They just started. And the first few things you make, by the way, suck. But that's okay, because guess how you get better? You suck first. You lose, and then you know how to not lose and how to play the game better, so then you start winning. The lower the barrier of entry it is, the more your brain actually wants to do it. Please stop moving the hurdle. Moist Critical and many big creators still use USB microphones. I think he in specific uses an Audio-Technica 2020. And look at his viewership, right? I don't think the general public will care about the 10 to 20% difference between a USB mic and XLR, and I know it's gonna hurt some audio files. And why do they call themselves that? No offense, that you guys might need to rebrand what you guys call yourselves. I know file doesn't have like a bad connotation, but with what it's commonly associated with nowadays, that just feels like a dirty word to say. But like I literally have a Shure XLR now, 8 years later in my YouTube career, and I bet hardly anyone cared my microphone even changed this year. Most people probably didn't even notice because they have such cheap headphones that it basically cancels out the 10 to 20% difference anyways. Like basically, if you have a USB mic or XLR mic, you sound good enough to most headphones. Just spend $100. You're more than good enough. Because if you only spend $100 and just start going off the rip, because most smartphones these days have good enough cameras. You don't need a super good camera off the rip. When you spend nothing or hardly anything, the first few months of even making a few dollars to a few $10 to even a few $100 instantly covers your starting expenses, so you don't feel demotivated. You feel the opposite. You go, whoa, I spent $100 to start this channel. I'm already making $200 after a few months. I feel great. I'm gonna keep going. Whereas if you spend $8,000, you will see the $200 as a failure. You'll be like, oh, I've been doing this for 3 months. I only made $200. I'm still $700-800 in the hole, and that's the problem. It recontextualizes everything. Tying this back in the video, it's like leveling in a video game. You know when you pick up a weapon and it's too high of a level for you currently, and it gives you the warning of this item's gonna have reduced stats until you properly meet the requirements. $10,000 of equipment is worthless to someone who just started and has no idea how to correctly use it. There are beginners out there who set up XLR microphones worse than how a USB microphone sounds out the box. That is just a fact, which is why you need to wait until you know what you're doing first before you upgrade the equipment anyways, because you've already made money by then too. So they develop the skills properly and meet requirements correctly. That is why the phrase of spend money to make money is a correct phrase, but not many people, or rather almost no one these days, ever uses it correctly. And it sucks because now people think it's an incorrect logic for your business, because it is okay to scale up your business after you've proved your business works. Don't scale up something that doesn't exist. If you haven't even started yet, there is nothing to scale up yet. You are needlessly raising your barriers of entry. I'm not going to repeat it. Rewind 5 minutes to rewatch everything what I said about authors and successful people and the barriers of entry, whatever. Okay. Anyways, that's my rant on this Brokie epidemic. Here's to hoping y'all won't be needlessly going into debt and then projecting your brokenness onto others who aren't actually broke just because you have more nice things in them. Subscribe for more weekly situation updates and like this video and share it to your Brokie coworker who calls you a Brokie, but in actuality you know that they're the actual Brokie. Thanks for watching and I'll see y'all next time. Bladed Angel out.